I'm extra. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, Slate's Sanctuary. Okay, thank y'all so very much for being here, but let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, now today's video is going to be all about journaling, scripting, and how this is so healthy and good for your mental well-being. Now, as y'all could see, I have about, I think, 5 different journals I write in, and it's all because I like to dissociate things. You know, I like to separate them, so I have one specific journal for specific things just to keep them nice and organized. And plus, sometimes I'll just walk into Target and I'll just be like, damn, I really like this, and so I'll pick it up and then find a use for it. So far, this journal right here is just about my personal daily things that I write. This is usually just me when I'm mad. I'll cuss somebody out with this, you know, just write all the little grievances I have just so I can release it. Because the first thing about journaling is that what I've really learned is that no matter how much we talk to people, it seems like our issues are never resolved. However, when we write them down, for some reason, they actually seem to spill out onto the paper from our heads and it doesn't bother us anymore. And this makes sense to me in the way that when I'm talking to somebody, I feel like I'm never finding the right words to express to them exactly how I feel. It's almost like a certain kind of external validation with talking to people, because it's like when you're expressing your grievances, you want them to understand the strife, the pain, all the hardships that you're going through. If they don't show you exactly how you want them to feel about your situation, then you will still be bothered by it because you feel like you still haven't explained it in its full capacity. But when you write things down, you know, you let it spill out into the paper, you allow all the emotions to be poured out onto the page, and they're not being judged by anybody but yourself, and nobody's currently validating them. They just are. And that's the best part about writing, is that it's secret. You know, it's not necessarily all out in the open, and it doesn't require a response. It's just allowing the pen to flow and allowing the mental to say exactly what it wants to. And often I find myself when I'm writing, I don't even think about what I'm going to write next. It kind of just flows out of me. And every time I journal, it just makes me feel so much lighter, so much healthier, because I'm not constantly worrying about the bullshit that I usually do. But yeah, this little journal is just for my everyday, day-to-day grievances, or, you know, even a good day. You know, I'll just write personally, like, this is how this day went, because I like to look back on my past and remember certain things that happened. Now, I don't have my OG journal. It's back in San Antonio. As y'all can tell, I'm in Houston right now. I'm at my parents' house. But that was my original one that I started back in like 10th grade, because, you know, I just felt like I couldn't express my truths to anybody, and I had a lot of shit going on inside that I was so secretive about. And so now I can look back on that and remember exactly who I was in 10th grade. Because a lot of times we feel like we know our past selves because we were that person. However, when I reread through the things that I wrote, I'm just like, why the hell would you say this? You know, like some crazy shit. Like, it just be some absolutely crazy stuff. And then I also look back to specific days so you can literally put yourself back in that same frame of mind. It's really interesting for retrospection to really look back on your life and to see how cyclical patterns and events happen, and thus how can you break them as well. Now, I made a whole video about external validation and cyclical patterns, so if y'all are interested in those, I'm going to put them down in the comments so you guys can learn about that as well. But the next journal I have is my manifestation journal. This is the first journal I got when I first started scripting. And so scripting is essentially when you write your manifestations out as if they are already in the present moment. It's like basically saying, here's your ideal day 5 years in the future. Nobody's judging you. You can say whatever you want to. How would your day go? And so, you know, some examples I would write is exactly how I would work, you know, my work life, or, you know, my relationships, how they would be. You allow your imagination to flow and allow your bliss to not be judged. A lot of times we get so focused on what's right in front of us and what we can tangibly, physically see, that when we think about things, we limit ourselves, we block ourselves off to the possible potentials to what they could be. But when you're writing it as if it's a story, this is a great way to manifest, because you're already telling the universe what you want, and you're allowing yourself to experience this happiness in the present moment, which is also a great way to manifest. But another thing with this book, I also like to do my full moon, new moon rituals in here. So often, like on the full moon, new moon, or any moon cycle for that matter, I'll just write out what I want to, like what I want to manifest for the new moon, what I want to release for the full moon. And this is largely how I talk to my angels, my spirit guides. When I say thank you, like this is largely also my gratitude journal. And I do this usually right before I go to bed, bed so that when I'm going off to bed, into the dream world, I'm already optimistic. I'm already in a good state of mind. And then I also start off the morning with some journaling just to put myself in that same state. And so the next journal we have is my dream journal. And I got all these from Target. Every time I go into Target, I always have to go to the journal section because they always got some nice new journals. And this one is like leather. Like, I don't know if y'all can really tell what type of material it is, but it's really nice. I absolutely love this. But yeah, I keep this by my bedside at all times so that when I wake up in the morning, because usually I wake up about 3-4 times during the night. I know that's crazy as hell, but I have to pee a lot. And I be having like 6 different dreams a night, so I gotta wake up and write them down so I can remember. I also use this journal just so I can write down any inspirations that I get during the dream time. Because largely when I'm dreaming, I will wake up with inspiration, with creative ideas that, ideas for videos or ideas for healing or anything. A lot of epiphanies come to us a lot of times and we don't write them down, and thus we forget them because we always say, I'll remember it, I don't feel like writing it down. And then you forget your idea as a whole. And so usually when I have these epiphanies, these inspirations, I'll wake up and write them in this journal. Now, the next journal I got, the most recent one I have, is my healing journal. Okay, so I've started a new trend with myself. I started my inner child healing, which I will make a video on that as well. But this is all about when I wake up in the morning, every morning, I address one insecurity that I dealt with as a kid. And so the way I journal for my inner healing is that I talk to myself. Sometimes I will write as my inner child and say, well, this is how it felt in my childhood. After this and that circumstances occurred, then it made me feel this type of way. And then I'll address it from my adult perspective and say, well, this is how it got you to where you are now. This is why this had to happen so you can cause some healing. This way, the wound is actually being healed. It's not just being, put a scab on it and let it be repressed or anything, because that way you can't be triggered anymore. Once you understand certain events and why they had to happen, it's actually healed and it won't hurt anymore. And I know this can be very difficult for people who have a lot of traumas, and a lot of people still to this day will be like, I still don't understand why I had to go through that bullshit. But for your own sanity, you have to make sense out of it for yourself. Can't nobody tell you why certain shit had to happen to you, why certain people lost their parents at a young age, and why some evil people still have their parents to an older age. Life is life. Make it work for you. And that's what I do. A lot of with my writing, and a lot of people might say, oh, you're being delusional. Call me what the fuck you want, cause bitch, inside I be feeling peaceful, you know what I'm saying? Because I make sense out of it to myself. And so, like I said, I'll just address any insecurities that I deal with, and a lot of times I'll ask my spirit guides, my angels, to send me healing through my dreams. Any type of insecurity so I can address them in the morning, because I find this is what actually blocks us, is the stuff that's repressed, the limiting thought patterns that have not been addressed and subconsciously we still feel. And so that's why I ask my guides to send me messages through my dreams so that the subconscious mind can tell me what's still bothering it, and thus how can I heal it. And now healing is not permanent. You can't just heal and then just be finished. I mean, for some things it's like that way, but for a lot of other things it's going to be a time and time effort. So make sure when you are journaling, be consistent with it. And especially if you don't feel like you have anybody to talk to, if you don't trust anybody, just spill these emotions out, because I'm telling y'all, I promise, you guys will feel lighter from the inside. You will feel better because you're validating yourself. You're giving yourself credit, and you're not dependent on anybody else's reactions and responses to feel at peace with yourself. And the last journal I have is this Project 369. Okay, now I know y'all saw this on Instagram. I actually just finished this like 2 days ago, but it's essentially this journal where you do your little affirmations in the morning, and then you have, I'm being extra, but basically gratitude, where you write it down. How do you visualize your manifestations? Then you write the manifestation 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times before you go to bed. I find this to be extremely powerful just because when you say something, you are reconditioning your mind every morning to think this. A lot of us feel as though things don't work out for us, but that's because we don't keep at it. What we've programmed our mind to believe to this day is something that's so strongly ingrained within us that it's not just going to be fixed with 1 week of doing things. Sometimes you can manifest things like, by the snap of a finger, but other times it is going to take time to keep reprogramming your mind to think certain things until it becomes second nature to you. And like I said, I had originally started my first journal when I was in 10th grade, when I was awakening to my sexuality, when I felt like I couldn't trust anybody and I was just very secretive and I needed some type of emotional outlet, and it was very healthy for me. But around my depression age, around where I started smoking weed really bad and I just was like totally like fuck the world type of energy, I stopped journaling. And I always wondered, why is this so difficult for me to heal? Why am I stuck in this place for so long? And so when I actually started journaling again, I really started to feel better. I started seeing things that subconsciously were repressed. sometimes I would write things on the paper and I'd be like, why did you just write that? And I'd be like, because you felt that. Like, that's the truth. You know, the truth be coming out, because when we're writing, especially when we're emotionally charged, certain things come to light when we don't even see them for ourselves, but it'll come out on the pen. And so I just feel like writing is a great emotional outlet for your mental health, as well as a great tool for manifestation, as y'all can see with these two, like working with the cycles of the moon with this one. And this one y'all can get on Instagram, Project 369. I'm thinking about getting another one because I did just finish this, but yeah, it's amazing. And of course, y'all don't need as many journals as I do, but I just like to diversify my journals because I love the way the journals look, and I like giving them specific intentions so that when I open this book, I already know it's about to be about some healing. And when I open this book, it's just Michael, you know, Michael Slade straight up. So I can cuss people out in here, you know, I can be raw, I can let my ego really express itself. This book is more so for my ego. Like if I'm pissed at somebody, because you know, even though I'm spiritual and I try to see from that higher perspective, sometimes you just have to give your ego some credit. Sometimes you just need to let your ego speak. And often we let our ego speak to other people when we're cussing them out or we're venting to a friend, and it feels like some never-ending story. But when you write it out in a journal, it doesn't take that much just to make you feel a little bit better. And then this is my soul's book, okay? This is where I let my higher self come through. This is where I communicate with my angels, where I manifest what I want. And I just love the way this looks. Like I thought it was so pretty. Like when you go look for your journal, let it call out to you, because this thing was on the shelf and it said, like, don't hesitate, get me now. But overall, I feel like journaling is honestly the way to truly know yourself and to express yourself devoid of judgment from other people. But this is all I have for y'all in this video about journaling, scripting, and how I do mine. Thank y'all so very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe because it helps me out and I appreciate it. And comment down below how this resonated for you, how your journaling techniques are, because I would genuinely love to have other things to journal about because I love journaling. But thank y'all so much and I hope I see y'all soon.